Good morning, my dear students. Hope you are safe at home. Today we are going to talk about Unit 1, Lesson 3, Chemical Equations and Reactions. Okay. First, we will talk about the chemical equation and reaction. Let's take an example. If I want to make a cake, I will put an eggs on flour, on milk, on oil, and mix together to form the cake. What about the chemical reaction? To know the chemical reaction, let's take the first activity to know what is the meaning of chemical reaction and what is the meaning of chemical equation. First, I will bring a piece of magnesium resin and hold it by the test tube holder and burn it in air. What will happen? It will produce a white powder. The magnesium will burn completely and change into white powder. It will form a magnesium oxide. I will say that the magnesium and oxygen, it's called reactant. They react together and form a new product which is called magnesium oxide. So if I have a magnesium and oxygen and they react together, they are called reactants. When they react together, they're forming a new substance which is called product. This is my equation. I have a magnesium Mg, you know that the sample of magnesium Mg, and oxygen O2. I burn the magnesium in air, so they react with the oxygen. The oxygen O2, the two oxygen atoms combine together with the bond which is called double covalent bond. I will break the bond between the oxygen molecule to react with the magnesium, forming a white powder of magnesium oxide. So magnesium Mg plus oxygen O2, then burning, it will produce magnesium oxide. This form is called chemical equation. It's called chemical equation. Okay? What will happen? The heat energy has broken the double covalent bond in an oxygen molecule to give two free oxygen atoms. Each oxygen atom combines with magnesium to form a magnesium oxide. So all of these are called chemical reaction. So what is the meaning of chemical reaction? It is the breaking up the bond between reactants, forming new bonds between products. Again, what is the meaning of chemical reaction? It's breaking up the bond between reactants, forming new bond between products. And as we see in the equation, this form is called equation. 2Mg plus O2, then delta, which means heating, 2MgO. This form is called equation. Okay, so what is the meaning of chemical equation? As we see here, this is samples. So it is the set of samples, and MgO is the chemical formula of magnesium oxide. So the equation consists of set of samples, and chemical formula represents the reactants which enter the reaction and the product. So what is the meaning of chemical equation? It is the set of samples, and chemical formula represent the reactants and product. Okay? We should balance the equation. Any equation should be balanced, as if I have two magnesium enter the reaction, we must put two oxygen gas to produce two magnesium oxide. So any equation should be balanced. Why it should be balanced? What is the meaning of be balanced? It means that the number of atoms in reactants equal the number of the atoms of the same element in product. If I have two magnesium, I should have two magnesium in product. If I have two oxygen in the reactant, should have two oxygen in product to be balanced. Okay? I have the law of chemical combination. First law is the law of conservation of mass. Did you remember the law of conservation of matter? That law of conservation of energy. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. Now we will talk another rule which is called law of conservation of matter mass. It means that the sum of reactant masses in any chemical reactions equal the sum of product masses. So the masses equal masses, and the sum of masses of the reactant should be equal the total masses of the product. Add an example. I have the equation 2Mg plus O2, 2MgO. If I know that the mass of the magnesium is 24 and the oxygen is 16, when we apply the rule of the law of conservation of matter masses, I have 2 magnesium, so it will be 2 times 24, it will produce 48, and oxygen 2 times 16, it will be 32. So the total sum of the mass, the total sum of masses of reactant, it will be 80 gram. Okay, let's make the product and check. 2 times MgO 24 plus 16, it will be 80 gram. So the total mass of product equal the total mass of the reactant. Okay, now we will talk about the law of constant ratio. Law of constant ratio, the chemical compounds is formed from the combination of elements by constant weight ratio. For example, if I have 15 gram lead plus 3 gram sulfur, it will produce 18 gram lead sulfide. Okay, if I increase the amount of sulfur, for example 6 gram to 15 gram lead, it will produce 18 gram lead sulfide, and it will produce a remains which is called 3 gram sulfur from the amount, an extra amount of sulfur. If I put a large amount of lead, 20 gram lead for 3 gram of sulfur, it will produce 18, and it will remain 5 gram of lead. So I have to put the elements or the atoms by constant ratio during the chemical reaction. Now we will talk about the types of chemical reaction. I have many types, but we will study the direct combination reaction. What is the meaning of direct combination reaction? They are the reaction which involve the combination of 2 or more substances to form new compounds. So I combine between 2 or more atoms to form new compounds. I have 3 types of direct combination: element with element, element with compound, and compound with another compound. Let's talk about the element with element. I have 2 types of element: metal with oxygen or non-metal with oxygen. Non-metal with oxygen, like carbon and hydrogen, they react with the oxygen. By heating, they will produce carbon dioxide. And hydrogen with chlorine, it will produce hydrogen chloride. Okay. And the second type, if it's metal with oxygen, for example, magnesium with oxygen, it will produce magnesium oxide. So it's element carbon and another element oxygen, or element hydrogen with chlorine. So this is the direct combination, element with element. Now we will talk about the combination between element and compound. I have a compound which is called carbon monoxide. I will combine it with oxygen, so it will produce carbon dioxide, and nitrogen monoxide with oxygen, it will produce nitrogen dioxide. The third type of direct combination, compound with another compound. If I bring a test tube containing ammonia solution and the glass rod which contains hydrochloric acid, KUNK, and it make the reaction together, it will form a white clouds of ammonium chloride due to the reaction between ammonia, NH3, and hydrochloric acid, HCl, and it should be KUNK. It will produce a white clouds of ammonium chloride. Chemical reaction has the positive effect and the negative effect in our life. Let's talk about the positive effect. What is the importance of the chemical reactions in our life? We will use the chemical reaction in producing medicines, in producing fertilizers, in producing in food industries, in the producing of plastics. So they have many uses, and used in manufacturing of batteries. And it has a negative effect in our life. What is the negative effect of the chemical reaction? We will talk first about the burning of coal and cellulose fibers. It will produce, the cellulose fibers result from the burning of paper and cigarettes. It will produce, it will cause air pollution and lung cancer. And if we burn the fuel, it will produce carbon oxides, sulfur oxides, nitrogen oxides. Carbon oxides, we will talk about carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. And in sulfur oxide, we'll talk about sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide, and what about their harms and the harms of nitrogen oxide. First, we will talk about the carbon oxide. I have two types of carbon oxide, which carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. Carbon monoxide has a very harm on human health. It causes headache, fainting, and stomach ache. Carbon dioxide results from extreme burning of trees, removal forest. So as the percentage of carbon dioxide increase, it leads to increase the air temperature, which is known as greenhouse effect. Carbon dioxide prevents the penetration of these thermal radiation to outer space, causing the increase in air temperature, which is known as greenhouse effect. Sulfur oxides. I have sulfur dioxide and sulfur trioxide. What are the harms of sulfur dioxide and trioxide? They cause respiratory system malfunction and building corrosions. Now we will talk about the harms of nitrogen oxide. They formed during lightning and they cause nervous system and eye problems. Thank you for listening. Hope you enjoy the lesson.